Welcome back to Witchtober. Today is, what is today? The 19th. Today is day 19 of Witchtober. So I wanted to talk about working with your land spirits. Now, for some witches, land spirits is gonna be pretty broad, and that's how I'm kind of looking at it. But some will argue that it should only count for like in wild spaces. I don't think so. I'm kind of more referring to the nature spirits, the land spirits, the fae, whatever you want to call them, that exist in your yard, pretty much, right around your house. There are various names that you can call them. Some, they have names for like the more like domesticated kind of style. They like the more urban spaces versus the more natural and wild. But honestly, every yard could have that option depending on where you are. Like if you live in a city, you're gonna have more of an urban scape, but like rural lands exist too. And like my dad's house is like 10 minutes from the town, but it's also like very much in the mountains, so it's got a nice little mix. But anyways, specifically talking about the ones in your yard. But I feel like it could probably apply to just about any of them if we're being perfectly honest. So mostly when you're dealing with land spirits, the biggest thing is mostly just like don't get in their way and don't really interfere too much. Because like for the most part, the people who work with the fae, who work with the land spirits and things, they will tell you that they work by different rules than we do. And we just kind of overlap a little bit. Our world and their world kind of overlaps a bit. And you have to be prepared to handle them. And so I find that it's best just to not mess with them. Because if they get mad, they can wreak havoc on your life if they want to, just because. And so I found that approaching them more respectfully, but also just like you would, like if somebody was your neighbor, to be like, hi. And then you go about your life. That, you know, every once in a while you might help out, you know, like right now where we've had a lot of construction, I have invited them into our land and our, you know, little tiny lot because, again, the field behind our house has been completely demolished. And so, you know, to be like, hey, you're welcome to come chill. And I think having that kind of a vibe of like, listen, your home's destroyed, you can come here. And, you know, just a polite way you would to just another person kind of works, and just being respectful, but not like forcing it if they don't want to. I don't care, whatever, it's up to you. And with that kind of leads to the next point, is to give offerings. And offerings don't need to be very particular. I love to give water as an offering here in the desert. That's, you know, something we're always trying to get, but also planting certain things that you think they would enjoy. You know, being, you know, more mindful, more conscious as you are landscaping, to be like, hey, trying to make this look pretty for the both of us, trying to maintain things, whatever. Like, you know, I have to mow the lawn because otherwise we get the prickly little seed bits and it gets stuck in our clothes and our animal's fur and whatever. And, you know, just leaving a little bit of like a, hey, hope things are well kind of a thing. Not necessarily like trying to bribe them with offerings, but just as a, just like you would your neighbor, to be like, hey, I made an extra batch of cookies, do you want some? Kind of a thing. Or that you see them stop by and be like, hey, you know, like I see you out there working, do you want something to drink or something? You know, just something very casual, I feel like is the best way to approach them. And the last thing that I typically do is just to give thanks. I have noticed that there are a few, both at my house and at my dad's, that there are a lot of spaces that have been protected, and I feel like a lot of that has to do with the land spirits and having, just again, that like, we kind of just coexist in this space, whatever. I don't really bug you, you don't really bug me, but we both want this space to be protected and taken care of. And so with that in mind, I will give thanks. Like my dad's driveway where he's situated is a terrible spot for a driveway. It's on a blind corner, and people also do not go the speed limit. It says 30, they see 50, and it can get really bad. And so I always give thanks to whatever entity it feels like that lives at that corner. And I've done enough offerings and giving thanks and just like, hey, it'd be cool if we could just work together on this. And always just give a little gratitude every time I can pull out of that driveway safely and not, you know, have a car screech to a stop or have to slam my brakes on the driveway because a car shows up. Because again, it's a blind corner. You cannot see oncoming traffic. So you just kind of got to hope for the best. So I always give thanks of them to be like, hey, maybe just nudge drivers to go slow, or let me see some kind of reflection or something, let me know that there's a car coming, or an inkling that I should just wait a second, you know, just something like that. And it seems to work. Also, our yard behind our house, you know, I think having given so many offerings where I have to them over the years, only one part of our yard fell in because of their stupid freaking construction and just leaving us like I think it was close to like a 10-foot drop right at our fence. Only a small little corner gave, and was enough to nudge them to actually do something with it instead of just leaving it until probably the end of their project at the end of November. Keeping in mind they started this in August. So they were just gonna leave us a 10-foot drop. Nothing holding it. And like, we don't get a whole lot of rain, but it's autumn, we get some. And also snow and stuff, and it's just not safe to have unprotected cliff at your backyard. And other people have been complaining, but I think just that little nudge was enough, and I feel like it was the land spirits keeping it mostly together, because it was a lot. And it was like right next to where I normally have given offerings, so I think they were just protecting as much as they could. So yeah, anyways, those are kind of how I work with our land spirits. And again, everyone has different opinions on that. There are a lot of great books on land spirits and the fae and all of that. I just call them land spirits. I guess to me they could technically be the fae. They're part of that thing, but it also feels like that kind of is sort of tied more to like the Irish specifically, and like over there. So I just call it land spirits, the unseen entities that exist and are, you know, in our world too. So they're also here in Midgard, you know? So anyways, I'd love to know your thoughts in the comments down below. Of course, a huge thank you to my patrons. If you would like to support me and get access to exclusive content, it's patreon.com/nightwillowcrafts. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. I post every single day, and until next time, blessed be.